Our first guest is on the front lines of the most important issues, one of the most important issues all over the Southwest United States, especially here in Arizona, water. Please join me in welcoming Associate General Manager of Water Resources from Salt River Project. Please welcome Mr. Dave Roberts right here. Hi, Dave. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You are Mr. Water.
Well,
I just
my wife would not say that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take a sip of such as you tell us a little bit about, give us a little background on you personally. Where are you from? How did you get here?
Sure, I came here in the 70s. I went to Arizona State University, finished up school there, yeah.
That couldn't have been a very fun place in the 70s.
Oh yeah, it was.
Do you remember a lot of it?
I do.
Okay.
It was a lot different than it looks today, that's
yeah.
for sure. And I've been here ever since, and graduated from ASU in 1981, and then got an internship at the Department of Water Resources for several years, and then eventually made my way over to SRP, and I've been there since 1986. And I've been involved in water resources and water resource management that entire time at SRP. So.
Wow. Well, you mentioned that ASU's changed a lot. So has Arizona. So has our demand for water. Did you ever, when you started, however many years ago that was, did you ever think we'd be this big, this quick?
No, I didn't at all. My background was more in the wildlife area and wildlife biology and things like that. But when I got involved in water resources and living in Arizona, because I came from California, I didn't realize just how important water resources was to the state and the management of that resources. Right after I got here, they passed the Groundwater Management Act, and that was really one of the big state laws that has enabled us to be what we've been here in Arizona, particularly in the Phoenix area. So while you say our demand has gone up, it actually has gone down over the years. We're using actually within the state of Arizona the same amount of water that we were using in the 50s, but our population is quadrupled in that time frame. So wow. We have been much, much more efficient in the use of our water. And a lot of that's attributed to the Groundwater Management Act and the resources that have been available from Salt River Project and other entities in the valley as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of that probably back in the 50s was agriculture based. And it's sometimes, although necessary, maybe not the most efficient.
Oh, very much necessary, because we all like to eat.
Yeah. Why did you look at me when you said that, Dave? We'll cover that later.
Okay. Yes, but our conversion from agriculture to sort of a more municipal-based and industry-based economy here has enabled us to use that water more efficiently, and also to, have the population that we have and the economy that we have and the quality of life that we have here in Arizona. So.
Well, put our minds at ease. I travel all around the country, and I'm always proud to say I live in Arizona, and a lot of people, especially if they haven't been here, they have a different idea of what life is like here. And they always say, oh, you guys are running out of water, aren't you? And I play up to that, because we don't really need any more traffic. So I say, oh yeah, we're almost out. If you come bring a canteen, I'm trying to keep them back in Cleveland, But
they're still going to come, Mark.
But for those of us that live here, put our mind at ease. We're not going to run out, are we?
No, I think that the long-term planning that Arizona and its folks that were here long before us put in place for our water resources has really served us well. The work that Salt River Project folks did, the Central Arizona Project, which is the newer supply of water that's come into Central Arizona, the Groundwater Management Act, all of the work that we've done over the years, and most recently the Drought Contingency Plan that was put in place for the Colorado River. All of that is really long-term thinking for the future, being ready and planning for the future as well. And we're continuing to do that. We don't rest. We continue to work towards the future. And one of the big things that we're working on right now, and we've been working with the city of Mesa on as well, is really the health of our watershed, the forests, and on our watershed where the bulk of our water supply comes from. And Mesa's been a good partner with us in helping to put in place programs to help restore those forests.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. We're talking about Arizona, but as we hone in on Mesa, who's responsible for Mesa's apportionment and conservation and Who serves Mesa Water?
Well, we serve a large portion of Mesa. Also, the Central Arizona Project does as well. And then Mesa does a very good job of reusing water that the residents use, so what we call reclaimed water or effluent. Mesa does a very good job of utilizing that. They put that kind of water underground in the Granite Reef Underground Storage Project just in Mesa, just north of the city. And then they trade water with the Gila River Indian community as well. And so they trade their effluent for the community's CAP water. And so Mesa's got a very robust water supply, enough to serve a large population. And Mesa continues to grow, and I think that they're in pretty good shape.
That's awesome. Well, I always like to, when I get business people on here, I always like to pretend we have a crystal ball here. We can look 10 years, 20 years, 50 years down the road. What do you see happening with the water situation, both Mesa and statewide? You feel good about where we're going?
I feel good about what's been happening sort of more locally here in the Phoenix metropolitan area, or what we would call the Mesa metropolitan area. Can we call it that?
Sure.
So I feel really good about that. We've done a lot of advanced planning. You know, Mesa does get water from the Colorado River, and the CAP supply that comes in from the Colorado is the more junior supply, and so it's subject to being cut and shortages. But they've stored a lot of water underground that they can recover. Mesa has a lot of wells that they can recover and utilize that supply. But outside of the metropolitan areas, we have some challenges, especially in rural Arizona, where people are starting to move to, and businesses are starting to show up, particularly agriculture. And there's just really only one kind of a supply available to them, and that's groundwater. And so there's some overuse of groundwater in different parts of the state that are going to be challenges, and we're going to have to work towards that.
Well, if we ever, and I've always kind of thought of it this way, if we ever run into a shortage of water, we can just like choke off Tucson, can't we? Because, I mean, it flows from the Colorado River. We can just dam it all up here.
So the canal runs through Phoenix and Mesa first, and then it heads its way south.
They won't
and
even
maybe everything south of the Gila River.
They really won't miss it for a while? And if you, well, okay.
I don't think so.
This doesn't broadcast to Tucson, does it? Okay. Well, by the way, I have a place up in Pinetop, our favorite hill. Now, I've been told, and I hope this is right, that the aquifer up there is like one of the largest in the country.
Yes, it is. It's called the Sea Aquifer, and that entire region, it actually goes all the way from the rim north into the Navajo Indian Reservation, so it's a very large aquifer. And there are some storage reservoirs up there as well that eventually will be utilized for municipal drinking water up in that area too. But I think in the Pinetop area, as long as there's snow periodically to recharge that aquifer, I think you're doing pretty well. And this particular year, they did great up there, as you know.
Exactly. Perfect. So. I'll let you out of here. One quick question. I know I Googled you, and I found out that, little known fact, you coached a lot of basketball.
Yes, I did. I was... you know, at SRP, they give us a lot of opportunities to volunteer and do things. And so I was a volunteer high school basketball coach and coached my older son, who now is a college basketball coach. So it was a passion of his all the way through and a passion of mine. And fortunate to do that. And a lot of the kids that I coached ended up playing on high school championship teams and continued to play in college. So it was a fun thing.
Where's your son a coach?
He coaches at Purdue Northwest, which is a Division II school in Indiana. It's a part of the Purdue University group.
Awesome.
So.
Any chance you could maybe help the Suns out a little?
You know, I've been following that a lot. I follow a lot of sports, so.
I think our water situation looks better than our Suns situation.
Yes, particularly the last 10 years or so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for coming in. I know you're busy because the water supply, the demand never stops.
Right.
So you're always on the clock. We appreciate you stopping in. You're going to hang around for the rest of the show?
Yes, I'll hang around a little bit.
If anybody's got any questions, maybe afterwards, they can pull him aside. In the meantime, how about a big round of applause for Mr. Water, Mr. Dave Robbins. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Nicely done. Thank you.